Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crystal Water Experience podcast with me, Dr. Jo Whitaker. And I am very pleased to have on Captain Leo Walton again. And we're going to be talking about longevity. And this is all linked to everything we've been talking about, to pyramids and Egypt and ancient civilizations, because man, they really knew how to live long lives. So Leo is living proof of that. He's written books on it. So I'm very, very pleased to have you here on the podcast today. Leo, welcome.
Oh, thanks, Joe, for having me again. I look forward to all of our conversations and collaborating with you. We're all part of the same tribe, trying to make positive improvements in humankind and society around the globe. It's all good.
Brilliant. And just while we're speaking, I'm just going to put up your book, Addicted to the Sun, because when we first of all met, this before you wrote the Giza Park Protocol, which is about the pyramid complexes around the world, how they work with our solar system and how they work with the planet in a very revolutionary way. But you'd already written a book called Addicted to the Sun, which I was absolutely fascinated. So I'm just going to get this on the screen. And for those of you listening to the podcast, there's nothing that exciting to see apart from the fact that the book is called
Okay.
Addicted to the Sun. And it's all about your experience. Well, in fact, yeah, you tell everybody what this book is about, because it's fascinating.
Uh, well, what happened with Addicted to the Sun is in actually on the Lionsgate portal, 88 Lionsgate. In 2007, I, uh, I call it my grand illumination because it just sounds better than saying I got electrocuted, and knocked 13 feet, and was unconscious for 3 weeks in a coma. But so my grand illumination gives it a more of a positive spin after years of healing that has I learned from modern medicine what had happened to me at the time. Plus, I was without insurance in America. So you don't get a whole lot of help in America if you find yourself in that position. But anyway, I was in a temporary change in policies and I had about a 2 week lull, and boom, that's when everything happened. But that's life sometimes. It's supposed to be that way. But anyway, I was on my own. I was living on a boat, boat captain. I've been living on boats for most of 30 years. I love that lifestyle, sailed all over. But anyway, I was on the boat. I was alone. I was struggling. I had severe traumatic brain injury. It took me a year to learn to read. I got real, I lost my business. I was self-employed, a very successful businessman, and I couldn't even read the contracts or any information. Plus, I couldn't walk. It took me a while to learn to walk, talk, really be able to communicate with people again. It was a really difficult time for me and very catastrophic in my life in many ways. But as I began to be able to read, I found the internet a way to get back into reading. I wanted to see if I could find methods that could help me with all of the issues I had developed. And so I ended up over a period of time learning about sun gazing, and it was free. It was something I could do. We had 215 days of sun. So it took me a few years to get around to doing this, and I really got into it. I got into yoga and became a trained yogi in 2010. And I really dove into the Vedic science system and I just fell in love with it. I found so much healing from it. So I ended up learning from a number of on sungazing. Jazz Muheen is a lady out of Australia, got me hooked up, and actually she's the one that introduced me to Hira Ratan Manik, who I dedicated the book Addicted to the Sun to because I used his methods that he created. Hira Hira was he passed on. Him and his wife both died during COVID, And I was so disappointed that I never got to go to India to give him a copy of my book because of the lockdowns. But anyway, I've taken over one of his sites when he passed. All of his Facebook pages, websites, and everything started closing. And I've taken one of those over and kind of modifying it to not just be about sun gazing, but just all good health practices like your work. You know, I share your stuff on that site also. But anyway, that's what got me going. And here, amazingly enough, had lived without food since the 90s when I got involved in it. And he wrote a book on it. It's called Living on Sunlight. And it's a free ebook. And I used that method in two experiments. I actually used his and followed it as close as I could. And I journaled everything. I began that experiment in 2014 is when I began sun gazing. And from there, uh, it ended up, uh, at the time I was on seven different medications, really some powerful psychedelic medicines, if you want to call it that, the stuff to help you when you have a brain injury. But anyway, I developed cataracts really badly. One thing about getting electrocuted is the electricity sometimes comes out your eyeballs and causes a massive accumulation of proteins on your eyes. I've been diagnosed by three eye doctors in that time saying I needed lens replacement because I was going blind. I couldn't drive at night anymore. Just another ailment from everything that had happened to me, and here I'm trying to heal. So, reading Hira's great work that he had done over a 25-year period, he said that the staring at the sun in a safe, controlled method could remove the cataracts on my eyes. So I decided to dive in and I did those experiments. Have you got something you want to comment on
No,
before I continue?
I'm just noting how, the protocols are there. You're going blind, but still you're not giving up. And this is really interesting. So you're not giving up, and you're going to try something. And now I want you to carry on with the experiments that you did, because I think the fact that you've journaled it in such a I mean, think about it like this, everybody. What about if you was going blind and someone's going, no, I'm going to do my own experiments and I'm going to journal them. I'm going to do them exactly right. What presence of mind? That's a very like kind of it's a really good disciplined mind to have, Leo. So thank you for doing that for us, because
Oh, well,
we don't have to go through that drama because you've done it for us. So thank you.
okay. Well, it was a really struggle to get to that point, but I finally, and in my book, The Rare One, which is at the publisher now, I documented all of the experiences I had. And another thing, not only did I have a near-death experience, but I also had what they call a sudden Kundalini awakening. And if I hadn't gotten involved into the Vedic sciences, I would have never, ever learned about that because it's an ancient thing. And being in a Christian nation, they pretty much erased all of that to any of that information that's accessible. So I had to dig deep and go to the east to get help and ability with that because there's all kinds of emotions and energetic effects from having a sudden Kundalini awakening too. So I had a whole plethora of issues I was dealing with. But anyway, Hira himself had been studied by a contractor. It was Jefferson University in Pennsylvania, where they were studying his sun gazing techniques and going without food for a lengthy period of time because they were contracted by NASA to study to see if it could help these astronauts doing these long, like going to Mars and places like that. But anyway, so he has been tested in India really significantly over the years. and in America and his techniques. And I can tell you from doing it, I've been doing it now since 2014. I'm in London now. I don't get to sun gaze as often because just lack of sun here. But I still sun gaze every opportunity I can, just for brief moments. But anyway, I started the experiments in 2014, and I finished up on the experiments. Actually, it was in 2015. So it took me literally one solid year to to finish the time frame. Here is program. It took me 90 hours of sun gazing to reach the ability to stare at the sun for 45 minutes duration, which I have that ability to do. And it was one of the most magnificent things I've ever done in my life. But anyhow, I finished that. And at the end of that experiment, one year, I was already beginning to wean myself off of the medications. Like I said, when I started, I was on 7 medications. And I was starting to work with my doctor. I was lucky enough to have a physician that worked with me individually, even though she thought I was batshit crazy for wanting to stare at the sun. I intrigued her, and she was curious to see where it went. So I went to her and said, I hate putting this poison in my body. I want to be me again. I don't want to be what the pharmaceutical cocktail I'm drinking is, and I want to be healed. And so I was very aggressive with it. It took a really aggressive attitude to be able to gain looking at the sun for that length of time, 90 hours. And like I said, it took a year. But anyway, I decided after that to go rogue on Hira's techniques, and I wouldn't advise anyone else to do this. But I literally went another 6, 7 months that I stared every single time at the sun for 45 minutes duration. And I gathered an additional 63 hours of staring at the sun. So it was about an 18-month period. And the miracle about that is, golly, it's so many things. One, I was off all 7 medications.
Wow.
In 18 months, I was off all medications. Okay. Now I was having some issues with my vision. I actually felt like my vision had gotten worse. And I'm thinking, oh man, my experiment has failed. You know, I've done the sun gazing things and my cataracts, my eyes. So I'm going to go have this surgery done. So I made an appointment with my eye doctor who told me I needed surgery in the first place. I went to another city, set up the time to have this surgery in the winter, timed it perfectly because, you know, they do one eye and you're covered up for a week or so, and then the other eye. And I wanted to just be able to set it home and just heal from the surgery. So I go to the eye surgeon and go through all of the experiments that he does and the testing with me. When I'm sitting in his office at the end of this, he's looking at his computer, he's pecking around, and he picks up a little notepad and he writes on the notepad and rips it off and hands it to me. And I look at it and it's a prescription for glasses. I said, "What? Time out, dude." I said, "I'm here to get lens replacement surgery." I said, "And you give me a prescription for glasses? I could have got this from a half a dozen other people. I'd have to drive so far to get it." He says, "Leo," he says, "let me tell you, on a scale of 0 to 4, your left eye is a 0. You don't have any cataracts on your left eye." He said, "Your right eye," he says, "I'll give you a good solid 1." He says, "I can't give you lens replacement surgery because you don't need it, because you don't have cataracts." So I was just like, I didn't know what to think. I said, here I'm thinking my experiment was a huge failure, but it was a huge success. So I eliminated the cataracts on my eyes,
That's
proven by the
incredible.
eye surgeon. So anyway, I went and got those prescription glasses, and I went 4 years before I started having a little bit of trouble with my vision. So Heidi and I was taking a trip to Egypt, and we're going to be there for 9 weeks. And she says, I'm having some difficulty with my eyes. I'd like to get my eyes checked here in London. I said, well, I've got a little bit. Seems like my right eye's not working as good. I said, I'll go with you. It's been 4 years. So I go and I have all the tests done again up here in London. And the guy, he sits at his desk and he goes like, he snatches his glasses off like this. And he's shaking his head. He says, Leo, he says, I've been doing this for 30 years. And he says, you haven't been to the doctor in 4 years, which is really odd. Most people go get their glasses changed every year, 2 years at most. He said, you've gone 4 years. But he says, what's amazing about this is, sorry, he says, your eyes have improved.
Wow.
He says, I've got to lower your glasses are too strong for you. Your vision has improved so much, that's why you can't see. Anyway, these glasses he gave me 4 years ago,
Mhm.
and I still am seeing fine. So the whole vision thing has worked out perfectly, and I have proven it hands down now for 15 years that it's a true
Incredible.
thing. And it was free.
Incredible. And the stories in the book, Addicted to the Sun. But just before we go on about some of the longevity texts, I think we've got to explain to people that you can't just go and look at the sun. That the sun gazing isn't just going, oh, I just fancy staring at the sun now. It depends on the time of day. It depends on how you do it and all this kind of stuff, right, Leo?
Uh-oh. I'm
Oh,
getting the internet unstable again.
yeah.
But I got hi. How are you? Can you
Hi.
hear me
So,
all
so
right? You're breaking up.
I can hear you okay. I was
Okay.
I was just saying that we can't encourage people just to go outside now and go and look at the sun. There's ways you have to do it. There's times you have to do
Exactly.
it, right?
Absolutely. And I was in communication with Hira. We communicated electronically back and forth. And I told him I was doing lectures, and he pretty much told me, he said, Leo, tell the world.
Great.
That's
And
that's what. But what happened with me with the sun gazing is it led to another experiment, and this is where we can get into the whole fasting. Fasting became a real technique for me, and that's really good for your immune system and longevity.
great.
So
Yeah, go for that.
that's right. So it's kind of another chapter in the book, so to speak. But anyway, as the time went on in that 18-month period, I was losing the desire to eat. And at the time of 18 months, I was eating at most 2 times a day. I wasn't hungry anymore, and I was full of energy all the time. So, what happened on December the 5th? 2015, during the time I'm doing the sun gazing, I was eating, I'll never forget it. I was trying to eat a taco, and I couldn't eat it. It was a burrito, actually. I couldn't eat it. Got about half of it done. I said, you know what? I'd been doing some 3-day fasting. I'd actually done a 10-day fast over the time period, and I didn't have any problems with it. But anyway, I said, I think I'm going to stop eating. I don't know how long I'm going to go, but I'm just going to see how long I can go. So I cut out all my supplements. I cut out all food. I drank water that I created, which I need to give you that recipe. You'd love that
Lovely.
recipe
Can't wait.
because it's got lots of sun energy in it. But anyway, uh, I drank that water and black coffee is all I consumed in that time frame. So December the 5th, I stopped eating food. 75 days later, I had gone without food. And I
Wow.
said, yes, 75 days. I was never hungry. I was only sleeping 20 hours. Excuse me. I was only sleeping 4 hours a day, maximum, 3 to 4. I was awake 20 hours a day. I didn't have to cook. I didn't have to shop. I didn't have to wash dishes. It's the most productive period of my life. And I was full of energy, manic mode the whole time and wasn't eating any food. But anyway, day 75, I said I'd done lost 40 pounds. I looked like a skeleton. Okay. Anyway, I said I'm going to call up my doctor who had worked with me on doing my sun gazing. So she's already knew I was crazy. And I called up and I said, I'm going to come in for a physical. So I met with her on day 75. And I told her what I was doing because she wasn't familiar with where I was at now. She said, okay, Leo. She says, I am going to do the most thorough chemical analysis on you you've ever had. I'm going to check every component, carbohydrates, proteins, everything in your blood I can test. We're going to do it. And she says, how are you going to react if I find one thing wrong with any of this testing? I said, I promise you, if you find one thing that's not perfect, I'll start eating again. Well, day 90, I get the results from the doctor on my blood work, and everything was perfect. Everything but one thing. I was 10% deficient in protein. And my guru, Hiratan Manik, the only thing he ever said that he consumed was buttermilk,
Well, protein, amino acids.
protein. And
Yeah.
I knew this when I went in it, but I wanted my experiment to be pure.
Mm.
So I determined exactly the reason that he was taking buttermilk was to get the protein. Everything else
It's
was perfect. But since that day, and this was March the 5th, 2016, 90 days from when I stopped, I've only eaten one meal a day. That's all I ever consume is one meal. And I'm never hungry. I never am hungry. I can go days without food and sun gazing. All of that is eliminated the hunger. Plus, I never feel satiated. I
Yeah.
can feel the weight in my gut. That's how I determine when I've eaten enough. And I eat half as much as most people, and I'm always the last one to finish. I
Mm.
eat really slow.
So can I ask you some questions about that experience? Do you think through your sun gazing, it sort of changed your metabolism somehow? So if it took some time for that to work before kind of the hunger went and everything, because I've got to say, I mean, the longest I've ever fasted is 3 days. I found the first 24 hours easy, the second 24 hours difficult, the third 24 hours fine until I got to the end. And then I'm like, I'm really hungry now. So
You
I didn't really
became,
kind of go long enough, and I'd love like not to have that kind of up and down thing.
yeah. Well, the whole sun gazing method at Hira is actually in three phases. The first uh, the first, what they call, he does it in 15-minute cycles. You know, the first 15 minutes of sun gazing is just for the brain, is to get your optical center capable of handling all this energy going into the brain directly. Because
Mhm.
this is the only port that the human body can take sunlight directly into their blood system because the way it works in our vision, we have all these blood vessels. The largest blood vessel in our body goes to our brain. And our optic center is amazing. And I learned all of this in my experiments and just diving into it.
Mhm.
When we get into that fright fight mode, when our system cuts in, the autosympathetic system comes in and says we need to run. It shuts down blood flow to all the organs in the body
Hmm.
except our eyes. Our eyes are
Wow.
the only system in the body that's not influenced by the automatic sympathetic system, because if it shut our eyes down, we couldn't see to run. It's
Yeah.
amazing, the human body. Oh, I like your kitty cat.
She's come to say
Yeah,
hello.
she says, okay, I'm running.
She's got the zoomies at the moment, and so she's been running around everywhere. So, but that makes actual sense because I've learned a lot about what parts of your brain shut down with fight or flight,
That's
but
right.
I didn't know what part of your brain remained
Exactly.
open.
But you've
Makes
got this
sense.
really massive amount of blood vessels in the back of the eye. And the sunlight, it takes a while for you to be able to handle that coming through your eyes. And it takes, uh, well, 15 minutes of sun gazing. Your part level one, you've got your brain geared to where you can start sending it throughout your body.
Hmm.
And the second phase of the system, the next phase, where you get up to 30 minutes, okay, about 20 minutes is when I started losing the hunger. About 20 minutes. If
Okay.
you read Hira's book, he'll say in there about 30 minutes you start to lose the sense to eat. For me, it happened at about 20 minutes. I started seeing, that's when I started cutting back to 2 meals a day. It's probably about 20 minutes of staring at the sun. And it's the most magnificent. If you're into meditation, if you're that type of person, you're spiritual, and you can actually sit still to where you can stare at the sun for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. It's the most magnificent meditation you can ever do on this planet. And the sun, your body becomes frozen in that energy of the sun. I was lucky where I did most of my sun gaze, and I did it on the beach looking due east across the Atlantic Ocean. So I had the sun coming up where I live across the ocean. Every morning I could go sun gaze if the weather was accommodating with my feet buried in the sand. And literally, the sun would pull on me so hard sometimes I felt like I was going to fall on my face
Wow.
because it just like draws you in. It is a electromagnetic connection, and it's natural. And we need to get back to this. The ancient civilizations, the Egyptians, they worshiped the sun for a reason.
Let's get some photos up just on that point,
Okay.
shall we?
All right.
So, because I can see some in, well, we've got some of these handheld devices. We've got this beautiful image here. We've got some pictures of you looking at the sun. I can zoom into those when we get up.
Right. I put
Where
a
should we
couple
stop?
collages on there. Well, if we go to Addicted to the Sun, the picture of me with the hat on there, the toboggan 14.
14. Yeah.
Okay, that picture was taken at the same time that the picture that's on the cover of the book. I'm sun gazing at Stonehenge, winter solstice in 2019. And this was with my beloved Heidi Grant. And she actually was the one that took that picture of the sunrise at Stonehenge that I put on the cover of my book. So a very, very special time to be able. I've sun gazed now all around the world on a camel in the Sahara Desert, at the temples, just all around the world, just about anywhere I can sun gaze. Now this one,
This is another
that one
temple one.
right there is in Egypt, and that's in a famous temple. It's Edfu Temple, which was to Horus, who was the falcon-headed. And in Egypt, they worshiped 5 times a day the same as the Muslims do today. I've got Muslim friends and go to their house, and it's interesting to be there and spend a day with them. They come to you and say, "Sorry, we've got to go pray now," and they do. They're very devout people. Well, the Egyptians were the same way, and they had five different gods at different times during the day. Now, Edfu Temple is a sun temple, and it has ports carved into the ceiling and the walls at the different times that the pharaohs and the sages could go into these temples
Not
and
this one.
stare at the sun. That's, yes,
Was this one of them?
no, that's in
Different one.
the Hatshepsut temple.
What was
Going
this bit?
down, the one where I showed the bright light, the go on back up. Keep
One
up
of
that
these.
one right, number four.
Number one, two, three. Ah, this one, yeah.
Right. The picture you showed, this is what I was seeing. This is an image I stopped long enough and took a picture of what the sun looked like at noon hour. I planned this trip to be right at that location at 12 noon when the sun was directly over that temple, shining through that porch, so I could see what the ancients saw. And this is what I captured. And tell me that's not magnificent.
Absolutely stunning. Now, a lot of people talk about lens flares and things like this, but it's like I was what I love to say to these people. I said, yeah, that is a good theory. But there's but there's only a theory. You can't prove is anything other. And we've seen very, very many interesting images of how light is, because these cameras are very interesting devices that are able to pick up the more of the electromagnetic spectrum of light than we can see and present that data. And so, I mean, it's very easy just to say all these things are lens flares. I'm not necessarily believing that, especially being so. I mean, last week, not last week, week before actually, on the Tuesday, I looked out my window like I normally do, and there was a craft, and it was huge. It was an absolutely huge craft in the middle of the day. It was like 10 past 8 in the morning. It was next
Ah,
to kind of chimney stack, and it was there. It can't have been an aeroplane. It can't have been a drone. It wasn't a hot air balloon, and it was huge. It was like, really big, and
interesting.
I was saying, kids, come and have a look at this. And I went to go and get my mobile phone to go and take a picture of it, and I couldn't see it through the screen, right? Right.
Interesting.
And then I was like, I went to go and get my binoculars because it was there for a while, like over 5 minutes. Went to get my binoculars, came back, and I couldn't find my binoculars basically. Went to go and take a picture. I thought, I'll just take one just in case. And then it left, like in no kind of massive like way.
Interesting.
But then when I looked back at the photo, it's there on the photo. So
Ah,
what I know is that when the screens of our mobile phones are taking pictures, or even on sort of digital cameras, they're not taking in all the wavelengths because it's too much data to process. But when you press click, it's taking in all the data. So the amount of data it collects like on the screen and there. So people can say, "Oh yes, I was mistaken." It's like, don't you think I checked like loads of times? I'm used to doing this. Like I went mad for a minute. So, I've seen a lot of these beautiful images. That is a beautiful image. It could be a lens flare, everybody, but it might not be. And this is
yeah,
where we have
it's
to open our
crazy.
mind and think about what we can see with our eyes compared with what the camera sees. And this is where we get, interesting discoveries, right?
I know. I'm glad you brought that up with our eyes because sun gazing changes your vision. It literally made mine be able to see a broader range of frequencies. And one thing that I finally learned to do is I could see basically through the all of the light of the sun, and the sun is black. I can tell you for a fact, when you see those sunspots that they show you on there, they're showing you what the sun looks like. The whole entire sun is black. It is not it's a glowing ball of fire, plasma, but it is black as can be. And I've been saying that a long time. Once my eyes got to where I could see, and the color that I see the most that deals with the sun, And it's amazing being a boat captain is the color magenta. And magenta is the color
Yes.
they use on navigable charts so that you can see them at night under light, real dim lights, so you don't mess up your night vision. But when I see colors around the sun, it is typically the most abundance is magenta.
I'm so glad that you said that, Leo, because again, I'm nowhere near as proficient as you, and we don't get as much sun here as we would like. But when you look at the sun, and I explain to people, not through your, you have to look it through as if your third eye is activated, because when you do that, you don't blink, and you do it, by the way, when the sun's going down or I guess rising up, not when it's at midday, because you can't do it for very long and it's dangerous. But
Right.
if you do it at the right time of day, and your book will explain all this, and it's why people have to read the books. It's not as easy as just going to stare at it. You
Well,
can learn to stare with your eyes without blinking if you've got the right practice. And then you see that the sun isn't yellow. That's just one part of the spectrum. And I'm glad that you said this magenta because you can see this pulsating kind of magenta waves coming off it, right? And sometimes
okay,
it's a bit
yeah.
greeny, but it's mainly magenta, right?
That's right. Now, and I'm glad you said that you see you're starting to mature now in sun gazing. And
Okay.
when doing my research, I did a lot of study on Nikola Tesla.
Wow.
And I studied Nikola Tesla on from a different perspective than most people is because of my yoga, I learned that Tesla's guru. He had a guru from the same lineage that I came from, Ramakrishna and Aurobindo out of Pondicherry, the integral style. Satchidananda, the guru at opened Woodstock, was my guru. And he brought that from India to America, and that's the lineage. And Tesla was in the same lineage. Him and Vivekananda were really good friends, and they worked together in physics and things, experiments that Tesla did. But anyway, so Tesla even wrote about it in his autobiography, and he talked about it in numerous conversations and interviews where he said how he learned to create the AC generator, and he was actually working in Istanbul, I believe it was, and he would go to the park every day and sun gaze at this park. And one day he went with a friend of his and was staring at the sun, and he starts screaming out loud, "I can see it! I can see it! I can see it pulsing! I can see it oscillate! I see the whole thing!" And he started to quote a poem that he had memorized, and he picked a stick up and drew the first blueprints of the AC generator in the dirt in that park that day and invented the electricity we have from staring at the sun. So information comes to you from the sun that needs to be paid attention to. And I've been doing it now since 2014. I can tell you the information is a never-ending, infinite supply.
Mhm.
Now, this
Beautiful
picture
stuff.
you just put up, the camel's head, I'm sitting on the camel in the Sahara Desert. The other one is Stonehenge down below with Heidi's hands there. And then, of course, the Horus Sun Temple.
Mhm.
Uh, the one Ramses in Chicago. You haven't been to Chicago yet, but that's where the gold pyramid is. You see how big I am in comparison to that statue.
It's enormous.
That, yeah, I can't wait to see you girls
Yeah.
lecturing at the Chicago Golden Pyramid. And
Wow.
then this one down at the left-hand side is actually what they called a watcher, one of the ancient Mayans, and this is on a Isla Majuras, an island off of Mexico. Then the other one with Heidi in the middle there, standing in a small labyrinth, is one of the most powerful energetic places on earth. That's Ibiza, Spain, with S. Vedra in the background. And
Hmm.
a very, very energetic. They claim it's like the third most energetic place on earth.
Yeah, I heard it's very magnetic, isn't it? This
Yes,
magnetic rock there. I've
yes.
never been, but this is on my to-do list. Fantastic. Um, Thank you so much for that explanation. There's so much in your book that people need to read. It's not just about going
Right.
to look at the sun and fasting, and it's all linked. So do you think that, people that often get hungry and things like this, do you think it is a lack of sunlight and the wrong magnetic waves and the wrong wavelengths of light hitting them? Could that be a
Mm.
reason? People
I
overeat, for instance.
I don't know. I've got some recommendations if you want to try fasting. It's a wonderful. I would become friends with somebody on the Facebook that does like water fast or whatever. They've got some good techniques on there. I found for me when I started fasting that to skip the eat the dinner meal, but skip breakfast and go to lunch. And that way you get that long duration, you get a longer fasting period, which is when you actually your immune system. It literally takes a good 20 hours for your body to go into a state of ketosis to where you're actually using your natural energies,
Hmm.
which comes from fat burning. The human body, because our diets are so full of sugar, and sugar is always turned to fat, carbohydrates turn to fat, proteins turn to fat. Since we eat so much of that, the human body is not naturally geared to burn fat. It's geared to store it. And that's why it's so easy to gain weight. But if you get your body trained properly, like me, I've been going just one meal a day now since 2016, and I'm at my optimum body weight, and it
Absolutely.
never fluctuates. I
You're
stay
so
the same weight all the time.
You do. You look exact every time I see you, year after year, you look identical. It's like, with the same
Yeah,
amount of energy.
that's right. I'm always very energetic, but
Always.
it's
Oh,
but I really enjoy my meal. And I take my time and eat it. Like I say, I'm the last one to finish. Everywhere we go, everybody's always waiting on Leo,
yeah.
but that's all right with me.
You're enjoying your food.
That's right.
Let's have a quick look at and something else to watch here. How about because we're talking about electricity going through the body. Should we have a quick
Yes.
look at maybe this one first, which for those
Okay.
people on the podcast we're looking at.
Right. I've done all kinds of experiments doing all of this research. I learned that the Egyptians, they used these wave guides, I call them. I'm going to change the name of that. There's a number of companies out there that manufacture wands or horse or whatever. The one I'm holding in my hand is one of probably 25 or 30 different ones that I test it with. That's just basically copper pipe that you can use in one hand. The human body, I've determined, as a matter of fact, I've written a book. It's in edit, one man show trying to get it. I hope to get it published in 26 on 15 years of doing research with these wave guides and testing them all over the world. But the one I have here in my hand, I filled it with a number of different items. I've tested it with clear quartz crystals. I've tested it with black granite, red granite, you name a stone, I've probably tested it, including petrified lightning bolts,
Hmm.
which is a fulgurite. I've even taken a fulgurite and fragmented it and filled it up. And the human body is the left side, our left hand and left side of our body is negative. Okay, we are a torus field, so we are a low pressure cell. So the energy comes in the left side and goes out the right side. So that makes our right side of our body positive.
Hmm.
So whenever you're doing these wave guides, and I really am the first ever to come out with a procedure on how to use these properly. But if you're wearing your jewelry, your silver jewelry should go on your left side of your body. Excuse me. Uh, Gold should go on the, I'm telling you wrong. Uh, People think gold is positive and silver is negative, but it's the opposite way. Silver is actually positive and gold is negative energy. So that's why they wear the Muslims came out with gold wedding band to put on that particular meridian uh, to wrap it and surround it with metal, okay, to change your energy frequency. Anyhow, it's what the wedding band's for. But you put gold on your left side of your body and silver on your right side of your body, and your body will be parallel and in line with your jewelry because all of this metal is collecting energy that you're not even aware of because the rule of law on energy is okay, it's a bipolar world. We got positive and we got negative, masculine and feminine. The number one rule is positive always follows negative. So, plasma from the sun, all these coronal mass injections that's coming at the earth at over 1 million miles an hour with all of this energy, kinetic energy, all of this heat that comes with that, that's smashing into our environment, influences us. And to have your body properly aligned with the metals on it will have you already prepared to take the energy, these high doses that we're going to be getting from this in a proportionate way in alignment. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense to me, Leo. There's a lot of things going on that people are completely unaware of at the moment, but they can feel the change, like they might feel sick, they might feel out of it or whatever, and they might not be very aware. But I've been mindful about my jewelry. I tend to wear copper more than anything than silver and gold these days, actually. And I think it's because I was more comfortable wearing silver compared with gold, and I tended to wear things like silver on my right hand. I never used to like wearing gold very much. And I think the reason is because I was wearing it in the wrong place and it wasn't aligning with me. And it wasn't about the gold itself, it was kind of like
Yeah,
how
maybe
I wore
so.
it. Because so now I'm like thinking about my gold jewelry that I've got, bits and pieces, and going, maybe I'll have another little go at that, but this time put it on the correct side. So thank you very much for sharing that with us. I know you've got another device here, which I was lucky enough to be able to hold when we first of all met in Egypt. So you take this around with you and remind me what this is called. I know it begins with a V, Vajiram.
Right, Avajra. Listen,
That's
Joe,
one.
bear with me a second. I'm getting a low battery for some reason. My power cord's not charging. Give me 1 second. Let me check that.
Sure, no
I'll be
worries.
right back with you. I don't want to lose you.
So I'll just talk to you about the Vajraam, which is given me the correct name for. And these are much more ornate devices. But as you can see, they're two different devices that you place in your hand. And again, they are designed, one of them is designed to work with a negative charge, and one of them is designed to work with a positive
I
charge.
think
And
I'm charging again. We'll
hopefully
see.
Leo's charging up.
Okay, the one Vajra. Okay, now I've tested numerous of these devices, and this is pretty much my go-between. When you and I were doing the testing, the EEG testing in the tunnels in Bosnia,
Yep,
these are the devices that I had with me.
yep.
And if you recall, but anyway, the Vajra is the funny shaped one that's used. It's called a Dorji, and by the Buddhists, Vajra by the Hindus. This is a very special one I bought in India. It was a custom one. It's made of bronze and it has an iron rod that runs through the center of it. So this particular apparatus is negative. So you would hold this in your left hand. The silver one that's laying beside it also came from India. However, this is a silver tube that was used by the royal Indian people, the kings there, to send messages in. It's a message tube. The Jews have kind of adapted these that they use it Missoula. I probably said that name wrong, but they actually will take these silver things and put a prayer in it and they mount it on their doorpost where they come in and out of their house, the front of their
Oh
house.
yeah, I've seen,
And
yeah.
kiss their fingers and touch it as they come in and out of their house to bless them in their home. Another thing. But anyway, being also this particular one, Heidi and I made a trip to India and went to the tea plantations. Oh my God, one of the most beautiful places on this earth. It really is the tea plantations that the British built in India. And this whole mountain range that they were built on, the tea plantations, are just covered on the ground. You're kicking over clear quartz crystals.
Wow.
So, man, it is just the energy there is everywhere. Piezoelectric, man, you step on it. But anyway, I managed to collect a couple pockets full of these clear quartz crystals from the tea plantation. I brought them back to London and downsized them, created some lightning myself, downsizing them with a hammer to fill that tube up with the clear quartz crystals. So this is the unit that I hold in my right hand as I align myself to the north and south poles looking east.
Very, very nice. Beautiful.
And I
Beautiful.
used these on top of the Pyramid of the Sun when I went up there and did the scientific lecture and investigations with Dr. Samir. And it was three other scientists there, and they were measuring the energy coming out of the top of the pyramid. There's the Pyramid of the
This
Sun.
this one here, ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen.
what a climb to get to the top. It is massive.
It's
But
massive.
anyway, I allowed the scientists that had their test equipment. It's literally what I found ironic about it. The more you dig, the more questions you end up with. But anyway, I asked Dr. Samir, I said, what did y'all determine after all these years you've been trying to locate the top of the pyramid? I said, what are the dimensions? He said, 4 meters squared is the, so it's a small area. Well, I already knew
Yeah.
that the pyramid in Giza, the Great Pyramid, everybody kept saying, oh, they stole the capstone. I've been saying forever, no, it would not function with a capstone because it has a piezoelectric discharge that comes out of it, okay? Anyway,
You've always said that. You've always
I
said
know
that. Yeah.
always,
Yeah.
for 15 years, probably 17. Anyway, what I knew because I'd done all the research on the Great Pyramid when he told me 4 meters, I said, well, oh, 4 meters. Let me put that into feet. I said, I already know the pyramid, the Great Pyramid, is 13 and a half, 13.5 feet, a little over
Right.
uh, uh, 13. It's like 13.12 feet.
Hmm.
And we got 13 and a half. So we're talking about we literally have narrowed down the top of the Great Pyramid and top Pyramid of the Sun that they're literally within 4.5 inches of each other.
Wow.
Come on.
That's not a
There,
coincidence. Come on.
that you think that's a coincidence? I think it's a design purposely.
Absolutely.
But I believe I'm the
Absolutely.
first to find that out. But that energy coming out of the Pyramid of the Sun, when I use my wave guides, which I use them all the time, used them yesterday. I use them here right in the bedroom. I can use those for about 3 minutes, and man, I'm charged like crazy. The energy that goes through me. But when I feel it coming in, I feel it mostly coming into the wave guides in my arms, okay, my hands, and the energy goes up through my body, through my arms and down.
Hmm.
That's the way the energy cycles through me when I do that. The
Okay.
difference on Pyramid of the Sun is I didn't have that. I couldn't feel it coming through my hands. It was coming through my legs. My legs literally turned to stone. I felt my whole body turning to stone standing on top of there. Never felt anything coming through my hands. So the energy coming out of that pyramid is so strong, it created enough interference I couldn't connect to the
It was just literally passing through you.
coming out of the sun. And all three of those scientists who measured from a different electrical, magnetic, I forget what sound, they
Mm.
used all of them ended up determining that the energy coming out of there was 28 kilohertz.
Wow.
Same. And the 28 kilohertz is the same as a lightning bolt.
Wow. Wow. Isn't
Wow.
that another coincidence?
Wow.
I did
Wow.
not know that. That's just
So that
amazing.
energy that is coming perpetually out of the pyramid of the sun is a perpetual ground lightning bolt, and it's reaching up. I call Bosnia the womb of the earth,
Yeah.
because this is like the uterus with reaching out. You know how it reaches out to grab the plasma. We're,
Yeah.
we're talking male semen is 95% plasma,
Mhm.
only 5% testicular, which tells us what the sex is. Okay? 95% plasma. So with this pyramid reaching up into the heavens, it's catching the plasma from the ionosphere, which is all plasma. And what I say, positive follows negative. So that lightning beam coming out of it is attracting plasma. If you've been to Bosnia, you cannot, and pay attention, the food production there, the abundance, every tree with fruit on it. Oh my God, it's a wonder the limbs don't fall off the trees. They have so much fruit on it. The watermelons are gigantic. The tomatoes are this big.
Yeah, they
It is
are.
so abundant.
Yeah. It's the
Isn't
ch
that cool?
chart.
So I call it the womb of the earth. And I'm going to explain that in my second book, how it functions. That's part of the second book.
That's a brilliant explanation. And I think probably we'll have another chat, Leo, and kind of not let this run on too long because it's been absolutely brilliant
Okay,
speaking to you. But what I just want to say before we go is to encourage people to please go and visit Visoko, the Bosnian pyramids. It's dead easy to get
absolutely.
to. The food is amazing. It's not very expensive to go. And if you can get to the pyramid conference next year, the people you meet is just incredible. The kind of conversations that you have, it's like nowhere else on earth like that, really, is it? In terms of the whole environment being very
No,
healing and the people and everything, right?
that's
And
right.
so
Heidi and I have been traveling 13 different countries. We've been to three times to Baja. And we did that because of the research I've been doing there. And hands down, I own my own forensics consulting company for over 15 years. I represent 19 different insurance companies, expert courtroom witness. I've done over 250 lightning forensics investigations. I probably know more about lightning than most people on the
mhm.
planet. Plus, I've been in 5 lightning strikes.
Yeah,
Twice I got struck. Lightning Leo. I got the tattoo.
you love
But
lightning,
anyway,
don't you? Too much, yeah.
Dr. Samir has done over 11,000 scientific studies on the Pyramid of the Sun. It is the most scientifically studied pyramid on Earth. And he doesn't have an agenda. It's all about what science says. And
Absolutely.
the ions inside the pyramids, well, it's in the tunnels. He hadn't really made it to the pyramid yet. He's still got some time to get there digging those tunnels out.
Yeah. We haven't even got
But
to the
anyway,
pyramid.
yes, you need to go there. It's a real pyramid. It may have been terraformed from the earth because it is a natural ground lightning system, but it's been cladded. The whole pyramid's been cladded in this concrete that they've had it tested. They found carbon dating leaves between the layers. It's layered that placed it at 34,000 years old.
That's
So the whole
brilliant.
pyramid's been cased, and it's so tough that we can't create this same concrete today.
That's right.
It's that hard.
There's some workmen working on the
So
road
it's
outside filling potholes, and I'm going to tell them to go and listen to Dr. Sam's work and
absolutely.
actually copy it because yeah, this stuff is tough. So everybody, please go and have a look at visiting this place. It's very easy to get to. There's a direct flight from Stansted all year round. It's beautiful all year round. But if you want to go to the Bosnian Pyramid Conference, please go to crystalwaterexperience.com. Look at upcoming events and all the details are there. There's a nice little brochure that I've made there. So me, Sam, and Leo and Heidi hope to see you guys next year at the
We'll be
solstice.
there. But the great thing about if they come next June is they get to see you and Kelly on stage
Exactly. We'll be on there.
doing
Thank you for that.
this.
We're,
Yeah,
we're,
plug it.
we're going to be doing some stuff on there, guys, because I've got to say that this the Bosnian Pyramid has been part of my awakening. It is a very like physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, very, very important place. So we hope to bring some new stuff, exciting stuff when we go there next year. And it's just incredible. And by the way, quite a few people have said to me, Joe, I've got no one to go with. It is, Leo, it's right, isn't it? It's the type of place you can go on your own. You go on your
That's
own,
right.
you
Yes.
go
Oh,
to,
it's safe. Yes. Oh, it's wonderful. Oh, we love it.
you can just then
We've
go to the
spent
coffee
weeks
shop.
there now.
Yeah, you have,
Yeah, I
haven't you?
know. We love it. We can't wait until next summer solstice.
That's it. And we go, yeah, it'll be nice to all be there together, won't it? And we often see each other at
Yes.
the airport on the
Yeah.
way. But you guys, if you want to go on your own, just go there. Just go to the tunnels and go to the coffee shop. You'll find friends. You'll never have to worry about that ever again. So we love the place of, love the work that Dr. Sam's doing, really encourage what he's doing and you as well, Leo. I mean, if you hadn't been to all these places in all parts of the world, fitting this jigsaw together, we wouldn't be as far advanced as we are today in the knowledge about pyramids and plasma and also how to regenerate our body. So thank you very much for
We've
sharing
got
this
to understand our own environment.
completely. So guys, look for Captain Leo Walton on Amazon. Look for his book Addicted to
That's
the
right.
Sun, or the Giza Park Protocol, which is the one about pyramids, etc. But just look at Captain Leo because he's got lots of very, very interesting books which he's spoke about today. So any final words from you, Leo? Any words of encouragement for the budding adventurers out there? I think I might have lost Leo for those. Yeah, we have some trouble with. We're in the third world country because he's in London, right? And it's not very well done. So I hope we heard the last from Leo there. Thank you very much for listening to the Crystal Water Experience podcast, where every week I bring on new visitors to talk about. Hi Leo. I was just doing the
I'm
end of the show.
back.
I was just saying, did you want to just say like a final word for the end of the show for budding explorers and adventurers?
Well, the first thing I want to do is to tell everybody that my book really isn't a guide on how to sungaze. I used Hira's routine that he came up with. I highly recommend they can download that livingonssunlight.pdf, and they got a free 110-page book that I used that I can say I did not have anything but positive benefits from using it, and I followed it really, really closely and monitored it. And this new book coming out will detail my experiences with it along the way and all of the great healings that I had. But anyhow, we're Heidi and I both we're hoping to go to America soon and take care of some business I have there, and then be back in the field again doing our research. My plans are to get the second of the Giza Park Protocol, manual number two, out the door. I'm hoping as close as I can to the first of the year, and
Fantastic.
that's what we're doing.
Keep driving on, keep driving on. So thank you everybody for listening today. Please look Leo up, follow his work because it is groundbreaking. It's like me and Kelly, right? We have thrown all the books away. We are right in the new future because there's so much to learn. You just and the old guard's about been around for a long time, but there's lots and lots of new stuff to discover. So keep following Leo for that journey.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much for everybody listening. And I will see you next week for another podcast from a fantastic speaker. And it's going to be a secret until then. So join me then. Thank you very much, guys. Bye bye.